Hi everyone, I'm doing another video today just to actually go over some more detail about jurisdiction. I did a video last week about jurisdiction and I'm going to do another one today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Amanda Ridding. I am just a amateur student at law. And as I do my research and education and in fact even do some application of what I am learning, I'm sharing it here on my YouTube channel in hopes that other people can learn as well, both from my successes and, if in instances, from my mistakes. I don't claim to give legal advice. I do inform everyone to validate everything that they hear with their own research and or with a legal professional. That said, today I want to talk about in this video jurisdiction of the court. So if you are going to be going to court and you need to determine what court has jurisdiction. Now, you've heard me talk about jurisdiction before, you've heard me talk about statutes before, and what you need to understand is that the two go hand in hand together. It is the statute that determines the jurisdiction of the court. It is what governs the court. So if you're going to be suing somebody, first off, you need to figure out how much you're going to be suing them for based on the amount you're suing them for, presuming, of course, it's monetary damages. You then have to determine which court can handle that monetary amount. That is a jurisdiction, one of the things that would establish jurisdiction. So if in Ontario, for instance, you wanted to sue someone for an amount of $35,000 or less, you would go to a small claims court. If you wanted to sue someone for more than $35,000, you would have to go to the Superior Court, which they're both superior courts, but one specifically handles a small amount and one handles amounts above that. Now, I'm going to draw this over to the Provincial Offences Act again today, first to establish jurisdiction of the court, but I'm going to be doing a couple of different shorts today. So with the jurisdiction of the court for Provincial Offences Court, if you, on the flip side, you're not suing somebody, but if you have a charge against you, whether, again, whether you're being sued or whether you are being charged for a penal offense, whether it be a quasi-criminal offense under the Provincial Offences Act or a criminal offense under the Criminal Code of Canada, again, you need to go to the law that actually is what you're charged under. So again, if you are charged under Highway Traffic Act in Ontario, in there it tells you that it is handled under the Provincial Offences Act, as most penal, quasi-criminal, quote, penal charges are. So I'm going to share my screen here very quickly. I'm not the most technologically adept, but I will do my best here. So if I've done this correctly, we have the Provincial Offences Act in front of you. Now, in this instance, I do not have the Provincial Offences Act live on my screen. This is a downloaded copy of the Provincial Offences Act. Once I find the acts and I figure out whether or not I'm going to be working with the act, I actually will download the act. In this case, I've downloaded it. It's a Word document. And you can see in the upper right-hand corner, I've typed in Ontario Court. And the reason why I've done that is I want to show you that it is the Provincial Offences Act. It is this act of legislation that establishes the jurisdiction of the court. So typing in Ontario Court, that implies the Ontario Court of Justice. I'm going to start my search, and I'm going to start with the first search, which brings me to definition under interpretation under Rule number 1. And the word court means Ontario Court of Justice. So the Ontario Court of Justice they're establishing right here in Rule 1 that the Ontario Court of Justice is most likely going to be a court that the majority of the hearings will be heard on. And I'm going to express that there are other courts mentioned in the Provincial Offences Act. So if you see the word court, it means Ontario Court of Justice. And if it's any other court, they will express the name of the other court. So let's go further. again, you see under set fines, they talk again about the Ontario Court of Justice, but I want to take you down to trial and sentencing. And right here under Rule 29, territorial jurisdiction is basic. It is literally the rule that establishes, for the majority of matters that are quasi-criminal, that are to be handled, will be handled under the Provincial Offences Act in the Ontario Court of Justice. So this is where the court, the jurisdiction of the court is established. Now, folks, I'm going to say this probably a lot. When you read a piece of legislation, the piece of legislation sets out the rules. Now, when it sets out the rules, it tells you, so in this case, we know the Ontario Court of Justice is the court that has jurisdiction under the Provincial Offences Act, which means anyone sitting on the bench at the Ontario Court of Justice must follow the rules in this statute. This statute establishes jurisdiction over the Ontario Court of Justice, and this statute is what governs the court. So the court has to follow these rules. These are the rules they follow. And if you want to have any kind of success in court, you need to understand that you need to look at these rules in order to move the court. I'm going to talk more about moving the court, but not in this clip. In this clip, I wanted to let people know how you establish what the court of jurisdiction is using the Provincial Offences Act as an example. You can do the same thing with any act of legislation. Type in either, if you think you know the name of the court, type in, like I did, Ontario Court. Otherwise, just type in the word court, and in the interpretation, it'll tell you most likely in the interpretation what is the predominant court that handles that law, which is the law you're pursuing. Okay. Thank you very much. And I'm going to stop this clip and move on to my next one.